Welcome back to Parnell Park. The sun is still shining, although the temperatures are dropping. Cuala taking on Ballyboden for a place in the semi-final. The winner gets a place in the semi-final. The loser, well, they're through to the knockout stages anyway, but under the new format, second and third place in the groups of 5, go through to the quarter-finals, and the winner of each group goes through to the semi. So already we know that Kilmacud, Crokes, Lucan and St Vincent's are in the knockout stages, Crokes being in the semi-final. Who will join them today? We will find out. Joe Fortune, you're expecting a bit of a belter here, aren't you?
I am, yeah, because look, there's been huge tradition and history between these two clubs over the last kind of 5 or 6 years. Boden were lucky enough when I was there in 18 to win a county final. Crokes had beaten Cuala in the semi-final, and Cuala had won 2 Club All-Irelands before that. But it's been a couple of years now since Boden have beaten them in championship. We beat them in group stages, I think, in 18, and then lost in a final in 20. So Cuala won last year as well in a quarter final. I just think, I said it to you earlier on in the first game, I just think momentum is huge for teams here. Whoever wins this today goes straight to a semi-final, and whoever loses it now will play Lucan in a quarter final. So look, I'm expecting a big one, and knowing the Boden lads as well as I do, I think they'll be really up for this to try and finally put this to bed, that they can beat Cuala in the last couple of years in championship.
What is it about these two that has served up such good games in the last couple of years?
History, and look, let's be honest about it, like Cuala raised the standards of club hurling in Dublin all over the country, I suppose, when what they did with that kind of 2 in a row that they Club All-Irelands, and look, Boden had won 5 in a row in Dublin, then left it maybe kind of 3 or 4 years, and then we got back in 18 to win one. So there's huge passion, huge drive, as there is in Crokes as well, and Vinnie's and that as well in regards to hurling. But there's just something. Every time Cuala and Boden seemed to play, even before I was there in 16 and 17, there were huge games. Would have went to extra time here as well, I think, in 16 or 17 too. So before Cuala went on that big run. So look, there's huge pride in both clubs, and look, the lads have grown up playing together as well. I've had a number of them at underage level with Dublin as well. So the likes of Jake and Con and Keane McGowan and stuff, or Keane O'Callaghan and stuff as well, have come through up against all the time. I suppose you have the Durkins and Simos and that as well, Keeney and that with both. I'm expecting a big game today. I thought the first one lacked that little bit of intensity, but I just think there could be something in this that there could be a ding dong one here ahead of us today, I think.
Well, as we say, both are through, but the winner will win the group. Nafina taking on Plunkets over in O'Toole Park. Whoever wins that will go through. That's a tough one to call.
Yeah, Plunkets they had a poor first day against Boden, but after that now they seem to have lifted things up again as well. So it'll be look, it depends on what happens with Nafina as well. They were missing a lot of big players the last day. People were foolish to write them off. They were missing Shane Barrett, Paul O'Dea, the 2 Currys, young Burke. Sorry, the older of the young Burks, if that makes sense. And then you know what I mean. And then look, I'd still think Nafina will have something to say in this championship yet. And look, Plunkets are coming through with a young team, an underage team, but you can see 2 good men going up there now as well for David Tracy and Dirks, 2 great friends, 2 men that battled in blue for so many years with Dublin as well. So the 2 captains going up for the toying cost with Sean McCarthy.
Well, this is a look at the table. Nafina and Plunkets, if they draw, obviously Nafina go through on scoring difference. Cuala taking on Ballyboden here. If it's a draw, Ballyboden will top the group on scoring difference, but that just tells you how tight it is. And St Jude's, who were in the conversation for the title in recent years, will now have to go into the relegation playoffs. By the way, whoever loses between Nafina and Plunkets, and it's mad to think of this, Nafina, who could have won the county title last year, could end up in the relegation playoffs this year.
Yeah, it's happened in Kerry in football. It happens, I suppose, depending on what the championship format is. Like, it's a long way, and that's why when teams sometimes as well, especially if it's a younger team, you get to a county final, and if you don't win it, they think, should we be back next year? There's a long road from round 1 up to a county final and to get through again. So, look, I'd expect, and whether I'm right or wrong, I'd expect Nafina to get through that game today and still have a say in this championship.
The team's doing the final warm-ups. It's a beautiful evening for hurling, although there is that just little bit of nip in the air, isn't it?
Nice though, it's nice, and it's coming into autumn now. It's coming into kind of real championship fair with clubs. I know they're going to final stage in Waterford tomorrow. Someone that was involved with us in Westmeath this year, Shane O'Sullivan, Ballygunner, like he was involved with us as a performance coach this year, top guy. But they're going for a real historical day tomorrow.
They're going for a treble in Waterford. Ballygunner are in the Junior A final. Yeah. They won the intermediate final, which was held on Thursday night. An unbelievable game with Ballysaggart. I got down to it in Fraherfield. And of course tomorrow it's the old firm of Mount Sion and Ballygunner in the Waterford senior final. But our concentration is on Dublin. It's Cuala against Ballyboden. for a spot in the semi-finals.
Big thing for Boden is, well, today Lambert is back, like, you know, and you've heard me speak how highly I speak of him before, my captain, and from 18 to 20, and I think he's a big man to have back for Ballyboden today. And as I would have said at Cuala the last day, I think, you know, Cronin being back is massive for them this year. Was missing last year. I see Luke is out marking him to start off with, and Stephen O'Connor is gone inside.
I'm just looking around to see if Con O'Callaghan is playing, nominated for a football all-star, of course, this weekend. We had one confirmed change for Cuala with Michael Conroy coming in for Emmett Murphy. Ball in, game on. Ballyboden get the possession. Long it goes from Hugh O'Sullivan, one of the young breed. McMorrow comes out to it, takes it well, goes to turn. Niall McMorrow, wearing number 8, but don't let that fool you. Hits that one wide. Yeah,
he was really impressive inside the last. I think he got 4 or 5 from playing. A number of times I said he should be back in blue over the next couple of months. But he's great start, but a wide, and Cuala will be happy with defending there.
Darragh O'Connell went direct. It's swept up, but he couldn't quite get it in hand. Could Stephen O'Connor? Stephen O'Connor didn't give up on it though. Got it back. However, it's intercepted by David Tracy. Tracy with no room to manoeuvre has to guide it back to Liam Murphy. Breaks kindly. Good hand pass, Shane Durkin. Paul Ryan looking for McMorrow again. That was well read by the defender, but he left it behind him. Simon Timlin beaten by McMorrow. Timlin tries to cut off the route. McMorrow doesn't need to travel because he can go direct.
Yeah, he's had some last couple of weeks now. Again, I was in here, and I'll probably end up saying it a number of times today. His wrists, his movement, and we talk about the younger players that are coming through for Dublin, but tell me one that's as good on the feet and in hand as what Niall is. Like, you know, when he's on form, he's a serious hurler, and, you know, Cuala will have to keep a close eye on him today, or he could do serious damage.
Cuala looking to sweep it up. Conall Keeney. Aidan Mellett. Good pass by Mellett to Timmy Hammersley. An All-Ireland winner with Tipperary, of course. It's intercepted though by Darragh O'Connell. O'Connell looks down the line, running out to it, Liam Murphy. Murphy brought to ground by O'Connor, but left back up. Murphy. Wide. First wide of the game.
Yeah, good defending by Stephen O'Connor over there, and, you know, Connell will be disappointed with Timmy Hammersley's ball across there, just which didn't hit the man. And, you know, you'd imagine as well, you see Boden trying to work it out. They're using Paul Ryan this year as a shooter, kind of out around the middle. He's not inside, so it'd be interesting to see how that goes for them.
Swallowed up by defender Andy Power. Very, very strong Andy Power. Diarmuid O'Flynn. The free was coming anyway.
Yeah, long advantage as well there. You know, I thought he was actually going, that the advantage was up, and Simo tried to stop the tackle on the way out. Power did well, in fairness, but again, I go back to, I suppose, my pet hate all the time. I keep saying it, that linear ball that's hit from defence. You know, it gives the back every time a chance to win it on the opposite side, and you don't give the forward the chance inside to actually get to it. When, you know, when McMorrow or Luke or Connell or whatever Dooley get a ball there at an angle, it just gives them a better chance. But here's one of the best free takers in the county, if not in the country, Tracy. He can be unerring at times for them on frees.
And the distance won't be an issue for him. Whatever breeze there is, it is behind him. It's very, very slight though. Tracy. It goes all the way over. One of the best club hurlers in the country over the last number of years, David Tracy.
Yeah, and the disappointing thing from the Dublin point of view is the last 2 years he hasn't featured really at all, and whether that's down to himself or down to fitness or down to injury or whatever it might be. But for me, like, he's a 9 out of 10 free taker every day, along with this man who's about to hit this over here.
Paul Ryan. Right out of the bunker. That has the air. And it has the accuracy. Paul Ryan with a magnificent line ball.
Yeah, and, you know, people can be so critical of Dublin at times that, you know, they're not unable to hit line balls, but, you know, Reiner shows that there's a few of us still around that are well able to do it. And, you know, I wouldn't like to be that. You look inside there as well at the movement of McMorrow. It's really, really strong, and I wouldn't like to be that cornerback today, just running all the time. And, you know, he's so fit as well. But look, a good start for both teams here.
A dazzling piece of skill from Ryan. Here's O'Flynn. Lays it off. A surge through the middle. Colin Cronin. Can't keep his shot down.
Yeah, but a good score and a smart score as well. Like he took one more step, he probably would have been blown by McCarthy as well in regards to steps. So like it is something that's really, really important just to keep the score ticking over, especially after a super score by Reiner on the left hand side.
Finn McGarry.
Good ball.
Seems like such a long time ago. He was the Dublin under-21 captain.
Imagine how long it feels since he was a Dublin minor goalkeeper in 07 with me.
07, that's right. Yeah. Swept up by Cian O'Callaghan. Going long, Jake Malone. 2-on-2 inside. McGarry has to be careful and is. Such a great servant to Ballyboden. Shane Durkin. Speaking of great servants to Ballyboden. Looking for McMorrow. The defender gets across.
Oh, Sean did really well there now, in fairness. That's a foul on the way out.
Cuala get the decision. McMorrow and Sean Moran having a few words afterwards.
Yeah, but McCarthy's far enough away now that he can't see it. But yeah, look, it's harmless enough stuff too. I suppose linesman gets to see it, but
Sean Moran, who has a habit of getting goals against Ballyboden, especially in the last couple of years. That's a real battle zone. Ballyboden come away with it. Here's Durkin again, moves it on. Is that a foul by Killian Shannon? Referee says eventually yes.
Yeah, I think Edo did well there. You know, a little bit lucky, I think, with steps to coming on the way out, but did well to transition the ball across. The movement there from that Boden full back line out to the middle of the field is impressive, how they're transitioning the ball. But again, I suppose I'm looking at it sometime from a co-commentator's hat, but from a management point of view, with Simon in the middle of the field, I'd love him shoring up that centre-back position, because it seems to be a threat now from Cuala that they see a weakness. They seem to put a lot of high ball in on top of the two-man full forward line, so I'm sure we'll see Con at some stage in that position as well.
Paul Ryan lining it up. We've just seen him hit one of the points of the championship so far. This wouldn't be bad either if it went over. That's going to drop in the square. Hammersley couldn't rescue it. Not first time anyway. It does get it into the hand second time. Had to go back outside. Good take. There was a late hit after the shot was sent away. The keeper is able to take that without any issue. Breaks kindly, Simon Lambert.
That's where you want him. Like, you want him in that pocket all the time, because he's so smart. He's so intelligent on that breaking ball.
Niall Ryan to McMorrow.
That's a free.
McMorrow bounces back up like a coil spring. It's wide, but the free was coming anyway.
You see what I mean, though, Shane, about McMorrow? He's so dangerous. Like, again, he got that big hit back up off the ground. Do you know, his centre of gravity is so low. I think he has all the attributes of being, you know, of still having that ability to play at intercounty level. But I suppose that's a personal choice maybe for him over the coming months. But a bit more physical to this, I think. In the first game, there seems to be a lot more hits that are going in. I know there was one late on Luke there as well, and there was a tough challenge on Shannon as well around the centre. So a bit more physical to this, a bit more championship feel about it.
Having hit that dramatic line ball, or stellar line ball, probably the better word to use. It's back to the basics and bread and butter stuff for Paul Ryan. Pops over the free. Conor Dooley. Intercepted Andy Power. A little bit loose from Andy Power. Might break the way of Jake Malone. Sean Moran went into the tackle. The referee adjudged that he is fouled. It's a free to Cuala.
Yeah, it's a high hit on Sean. He came brave on the ground and picked the ball up first time. With a big challenge on him, and quite high as well.
Sean Moran, 2 goals against Ballyboden in the 2020 final, 1 goal in last year's quarter final, the only goal of that game. I know we can say this about many of the players out there, but he is just top quality.
He is, but even looking through the team sheets earlier on, like, you know, you've got Hugh O'Sullivan, Luke Mulligan, Lynch, Timmy. they're probably the only 3 changes to that Boden team from the 20 final when I was with them. Even from 18, the only change is probably Luke McDwyer as a starter. And then you go back to the Cuala team, there's probably 3 changes, Emmett Murphy, Lee Murphy coming in, Dermot O'Flynn, Andy Power. But Cuala have lost, Paul Shute, Oisin Goff. They're 2 big losses, 2 men, from that Cuala team as well. So, and without Con, I'd question as well. Like Con came on the last day, obviously played football as well. I suppose maybe Cuala are thinking getting game time into him as well, get 20 minutes, half an hour into him today, because no matter what happens today, you're in a quarter final anyway.
Cuala beating Ballyboden in the senior football last week. That meant that Ballyboden went out and Cuala marched on. Cuala beating Ballymun in the football last week.
Those at home got
the Bally's confusing me.
Oisin got a head shake from me just for people who can't see it, because I knew Boden are still there in the big ball as well.
Watching Ballymun talking about Ballyboden, I knew there'd be watching Ballyboden talking about Ballymun, I knew there'd be confusion. I'll just stop. Sean Moran hopefully is okay. He's up on his feet anyway. That's a good thing. And Moran will play on. And Tracy will take this one from a long, long way out. It's travelling some length and with some accuracy.
Yeah, super
Tracy
free.
with his second.
Super free. Boden will want to get more out of Dooley here now, and Connell in the half forward line. They've been quiet so far. I know we're early stages, but great run by McDwyer here.
McDwyer lets it slip through the fingers. It's going to be pickpocketed by Michael Conroy. Malone intercepted. Getting in there brilliantly was Hugh O'Sullivan. Hugh O'Sullivan down the line. He couldn't make it his, Timmy Hammersley. And Sean Moran shows he's okay by just winding up and smacking that long. Shute couldn't get it into the hand.
It's an interesting tactic that Cuala are going with, because they're hitting everything high. Like they always went with the diagonal ball, which made them such a great team. It's surprising and maybe frustrating for some of them as well, that they're just going direct, similar to what happened with Finney's in the first game, but they had somebody inside to win it.
It was interesting there as well. I can't remember which was which, but I think Shute was facing in and Murphy was facing out, as in not the two of them weren't facing the goal, they were facing in opposite directions.
Yeah.
Their pressure and work rate, by the way, made Ballyboden spill it out over the line, and now a 65 for David Tracy, looking for his 3rd point from a place ball. A lovely wristy point from David Tracy.
Look, he's as good as there is from a free taking point of view, Oisin. Absolutely top class. But again, if you're Cuala, you're wondering where the points coming from play here, because they've been quiet up front so far.
Stephen O'Connor went into that half forward line. The break is kind for those in blue and white. Hammersley got it up again, flipped it off to Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan looking to score from play for the first time today.
Yep.
And he does.
And that's why they have him out around that idea, that area out there as a shooter. Maybe they're not looking at him as a 15 or a 13 anymore. They have him out there because he can shoot from distance. Good work by Timmy there as well. He's made a positive impact to that club this year in regards. That's a puck out that Brennan's known for on the left hand side.
And Conroy runs onto it. It was well taken as well. Great work tracking back Luke McDwyer. A little bit of a loose puck out of defence. David Tracy will try and get there, and does. Tracy has a little bit of time and a little bit of space, and that's enough for him. That's a really, really fine score.
And you're looking around that middle there, rushing as well for that ball. Tracy wins it. You've Lambert, Dirk and Trey. I'm sure there was many nights in here in training as well, not like with Dublin too, that they went hammer and tongs at it. Like 3 great servants for Dublin hurling over the years.
No foul, says the referee. Darragh O'Connell plays on, trying to skirt past Paul Ryan, who fouls him, and it's a free in. And the card will come out for Paul Ryan here.
I think, Reiner was probably the one that put the hit on Sean a while ago as well, so he'll probably wouldn't be known for his physicality or anything like it, or his tackling sometimes either, but look, he's still one of the best and one of the best club hurlers in Dublin without a shadow of a doubt. The only thing I'd say is when he's that far from goal as a shooter, he doesn't give you that option inside of because what a finisher he can be when he's on the edge of the square.
David Tracy. Already on 4 points, 3 of them from place balls. It's a well taken score.
And Simo makes a great run there now for a puck out just to create that space for Connor.
Connor Dooley, he's so strong, hangs on to possession. Has to offload it eventually, does. Hugh O'Sullivan. Forward it goes. Simon Lambert. And wide from Lambert.
He was on a... He shot because I'd say, no, not the only reason, because he loves to shoot anyway, but there was an advantage given by McCarthy there as well, I think, for a previous foul, like a dragon as well, so it might give them the opportunity to take a free, although Sean has gone inside to his umpires. Just the standard of ball that's gone into, like, you look at the last stage, the diagonal ball that was going into Niall McMorrow inside, and we haven't seen Connolly really yet either. Like, would it be worthwhile, looking at the idea of switching Paul Ryan inside and bringing Connell out to the middle to get him on more ball? He didn't give the free for advantage.
Well, we went in to have a word with the umpire who waved it wide. I thought, well, that meant, okay, the free is coming, but it hasn't. Simon Timlin. Good take.
Yeah.
And a good shot from Liam Murphy.
You can see the Bowden lads are annoyed there because he signalled advantage, took a shot, and then he went into the umpires to whatever that was about.
McGarry. McDwyer drops deep. If he takes it, he can turn and run at the defence.
That's a better ball. Well, it's cut out, but it was the right idea. But like again, looking at just too much space around that middle for Cuala from a Bowden perspective.
Shannon looking for Shute. He's covered by Mulligan Lynch. Away it goes from Stephen O'Connor. Collected deep by Simon Lambert. Cronin was waiting for it up against Hammersley, 2 old stagers. O'Callaghan, I beg your pardon, rather than Cronin. Free out.
Yeah, great defending by Sean there. He seems to be winning in. I think that's coming in high. He's not being allowed to hit the free here. There's just no real movement inside for Cuala though. Like, everything is just that big high ball, and there's him. There's Simo back where he's good, like in that pocket for 6.
Lambert. Luke Corcoran.
That's the ball you want to hit, like diagonal ball. That's what the forwards want to win.
McMorrow comes out to collect. Has Mellett running inside. McMorrow goes himself and hits it wide. Just skips away from Andy Power. Didn't give up on it though. Here's Conall Keeney. Tangle with Conroy. Got it off to McDwyer. McDwyer to Hammersley. Hammersley guides it over.
Yeah, good score. Yeah, good score should have made by Luke McDwyer's pace there as well. Turned over the ball well, and Timmy had to put that over. It was important he got that over. But here's a ball now down on top of Sean. Simo wins it again there.
He's having a good game. Connor Dooley looking for McMorrow. Will that stay in play? McMorrow uses his pace to get there. Dooley continued his run. It comes to Keeney. I don't think that was the intention. Dooley missed out on it. Keeney is fouled. It's a free in. And then Keeney almost reacted there to Dermot O'Flynn, but walked away because he was right in front of the referee. He's aggressive, but he's not silly.
No, I suppose Sean McCarthy being a guard as well might help the fact that you're not going to do something silly in front of a guard like that either. But Keane was just holding a hand, I think, there as well. Just getting to know Connell, and look, the 2 lads are great. They're warriors for both clubs as well over the last number of years. But just dropped in intensity. I thought the first 5 minutes were great. I said, we're in for a cracker here now. But it's just dropped off a small bit. And again, like you said earlier on, maybe clubs are gone the route of, there's nothing really at risk here. But Bowden have come back with the last 2 scores. They were 3 points down there. They've come back.
Nafina 1-3. Nafina 1-4. Plunkett's 3 points. So as it stands, Nafina will be going into the quarterfinals, and Plunkett's will be going to the relegation playoffs. A lot of young players coming through at Plunkett's, as there is in Nafina. Lambert read that one really well. McGarry looking for McMorrow. Good take by McMorrow. Off it goes to Mellett. Mellett with a crowd of red around him, but Mellett's still going. Mellett has his eyes for goal here. Mellett.
Oh,
he's unlucky.
He's unlucky.
He's got a free anyway.
He's got a free outside, like, and it was a great run inside. But again, we go back to, I know Boden started with the idea of having Lambert in midfield, but look where he is now and the amount of ball he's getting on cover. And like Sean Moran came out with a great ball, fed it across the diagonal, but he was smart enough to read it. And then, they fed McMurrow, and McMurrow popped it off to Edo. And look, again, you can see when they're on form, like both these teams have aspirations. Let's be honest about it, Oisín. Both these teams have aspirations about winning a county final this year. And in order to do that, you can see the standard, how they try to do the right thing as much as they can. But really good run by Edo there with a chance to get a goal, but a good tackle at the end.
A dizzying run from Melita, Leinster winner at minor grade, tapped over by Paul Ryan. Puck goes short. Sean Moran, who seems to be well.
Going on there with the ref. He's waiting he's holding him up something from the side. Or blood.
It's Hammersley, yeah. He has to get treatment. If the ref spots you bleeding, he'll make you go off. And rightfully so. So they make a blood sub. Timlin. Andy Power and Malone kind of get caught in two minds. Mellis. Good pass, well taken on the surge, Niall Ryan. Ryan down to McDwyer. McDwyer trying to get away from O'Callaghan. McDwyer blindly hits it across. Sean Moran was waiting. Shoulder comes in there from Pierce Christie, but Moran got away.
Yeah, Moran's had a fine start to the game. That's a good ball inside.
It's a great ball, but it's not a particularly good take. O'Connor steals it back off Liam Murphy. It's a free out.
Yeah, great defending there. And again, look, this is my point all along. Like, Lee Murphy had a fine game for Cuala the last day that we were here, and we were talking about the younger players coming through all the time, and it's important. But to come through, you have to earn your trust at club level as well, at a high level, before you even step up to intercounty. And at the moment as well, you see some of the McMurrows and Luke McDwyer is doing fine over there. They're learning from some of the greats with Connell and with Niall as well.
It's launched by Simon Lambert. Keeney's trying to win it. There's bodies colliding there. Hammersley is back in. Sean Moran steals it back. Sean Moran away. Conor Dooley, surely he'll just take his point.
Yeah.
Good score by Dooley.
Good score, sloppiness there as well. Like, Cuala management won't be happy with that. Timlin came out with a ball there a few minutes ago as well and just threw it away. Didn't even look where he was going to. And Cuala management, that's something for them to work on going forward.
Dooley's a player you really like out the field. Yeah. Even when you lost McGarry for a couple of games in Leinster a couple of years ago, you kept Dooley out the field.
I actually rate Conor Dooley really highly. I think he has the attributes to be an outfield inter-county player, to be honest with you. I think he's the athleticism and the strength, and if you look at the likes of Garrod Hegarty and those kind of guys, and he has the wrists. I just think he's spent an awful lot of time in goal that probably curtails him maybe taking that step up. But yeah, no, I definitely rate Conor quite highly. It's another good score for Boden.
Yeah, I bet you rate Hugh O'Sullivan as well. That was a fine score by him.
Yeah, I didn't have Hugh as well when I was involved, and
yeah, he's quite young.
Yeah, credit to David Curtin as well. He's brought through some good young players and not been afraid to take them off the second or third team in Ballyboden. And look, I suppose Curtin bleeds Ballyboden blood out there, so he's going to look for the best and the honest and the ones that are really going to go to war for you every day.
O'Sullivan won in under 21 with Ballyboden last year. That tells you how young he is. Niall Ryan, who's some bit older but not what you'd call old. That's a great run. Yeah. Great pace. Just spilled but then regathered. Tries to clip it over and doesn't.
Yeah, Cuala need to wake up a small bit here now because they're going to sleep. They had a great start to it, but we haven't seen Colm Cronin, who I said it to you. They've obviously put, I think it's Luke that's marking Colm Cronin, but we haven't got him on ball yet, and Mark Schutte hasn't won a ball inside.
Shannon. Here is Mark Schutte. Schutte does win it. 3 around him. Schutte keeps his head, goes to ground, loses it.
Great hit by Lambert there as well.
Simon Lambert again. Shane Durkin. Conor Dooley. O'Connor hits the diagonal, looking perhaps for Timmy Hammersley. Breaks kindly for red rather than blue and white, but Conall Keeney wouldn't give up on it. Still hasn't. It's a free out to Cuala. Timmy Hammersley is just stretching there, putting quite the effort to get it. Unluckily, didn't.
Yeah, but won't be happy, a man of his own standards like that as well. Had an opportunity to get the ball in his hand and stretch as much as you want, but just win that ball that comes to you. And you can see what I said about Lambert going back as the 6. It's just so important for that Ballyboden team that he sits in the pocket and he moves the ball out. And again, they'll need more out of Conall Keeney. They'll need more out of Timmy to win that primary ball in the half forward line.
Tracy, did you expect anything else?
No.
Interesting link between Timmy Hammersley and, on the Cuala side, Saoirse Bulfin, who's doing a bit of coaching with Cuala. He is the Meath hurling manager. Timmy Hammersley has worked with the Meath hurlers.
True.
McDwyer loses it, trying to pickpocket him there is Colm Cronin. Colm Cronin gets a shot away, does it have the legs and the accuracy? Yes, it does. A fine score from Colm Cronin, his second of the game.
Yeah, fine score, and Colm's a huge addition back to them this year, and I suppose there is a sense of new management, or you can see, Bulfin was with me this year as well, and they've JJ Doyle I think involved this year too over there. So after turn, I think it was Eddie Brennan was with them last year, and I think it was at Willie Marr the year before. So there's been a turnover of management there in the last kind of couple of years. So getting used to each style has probably taken a bit of time as well.
Conroy picked his pass out perfectly there, trying to stretch out to it as O'Flynn. Breaks kindly. Sean Tracy into the path of Colm Cronin, looking for his third, his second in a row. And he's got it off the woodwork.
Off the woodwork and over the bar, and he's come into it. Is that his third?
His third, yep.
Yeah.
His second in a row.
We said he's a pivotal part of this. He was a pivotal part of that Cuala team that were so successful, and coming back in this year, he's definitely at it. And Luke needs to be tighter on him now, or if that's who's seen as a man marker. It's something that was said the last couple of games. So I'm sure David Curtin and management will be looking at that.
Nafina 1-9, Plunkett's 1-6. Nafina 1-9, Plunkett's 1-6.
It's a good score, Tracy again.
David Tracy from play. I'm glad you spotted it because I was looking at the score from the other game.
No, Finn will be annoyed with that puck out because look, the other one is going up, but the movement is not good enough in the half forward line here for him to hit ball with anyway. So that's something that he's going to talk about at half time, I'd imagine, because it needs to be stronger. And when the ball comes out, you have to put your hand up to win it as well.
As we are, Cuala will win the group. Ballyboden second, Nafina third. They'll go through to the knockout stages. Long way to go yet in both games. Aidan Mellett switches it over. Is that Dooley who's popping up on? No, it's Stephen O'Connor, also wearing the yellow helmet today. Stephen O'Connor doesn't catch it right. That's a little bit loose from the keeper. Conall Keeney pounces. Conall Keeney has it. Conall Keeney goal.
Yeah, the two of them look hurt. I'd say it's Sean Morales hurt more than he just came out, just a poor ball inside. Keeney was really, really brave, and it's a poor goal to give away, but it brings Boden right back into it because they'd had a 10-minute spell there where they'd been really, really strong, and then all of a sudden they just took the foot off the gas and Cronin had put them ahead. But good finish.
This won't make good viewing for Cuala fans. Ballyboden people will be glad to see it. Moran wrestled off it by Keeney, who took the hit. He was brave, he knew what was coming.
Yeah, I don't think he's too bad, to be honest. A man of his stature, I don't think he'll be fine when he gets up, and he could be hit by bigger men. But look, Sean will be disappointed with that, but it just really brings Boden back in after having a kind of 5 or 6 minute spell there where they had kind of dropped the tempo. But again, I go back to, if the likes of Con is fit, get him in now if you want him playing. I just think it's important for a Cuala perspective as well. If they're going to work on a type of game plan over the coming weeks and they want to win a county final, I think the more they can get him on the pitch, the better.
So Conall Keeney's goal has Ballyboden in front by 1. Not quite do or die championship stuff, but still an important game.
An important game, and you could argue that's the first ball that Keeney's had in his hand in the course of whatever, 26, 27 minutes. It's a big one from Lambert now. Yep.
Fantastic from Simon Lambert.
He's had a fine game there, just sitting back in that pocket. He started midfield, but he's had a fine game. And again, we go back to these young players that are coming through. You have to get past the older ones first. And for me, over the last couple of years, he's been a standout player for Ballyboden at 6.
And they haven't just set the standard; they've kept the standard, if that makes sense.
They have, and Cuala, in fairness, last year deserved to beat him in a quarter final, and in 2020, we were ahead probably by 5 or 6 points and didn't close it out, and Cuala came back and won a good county final. But the both of these clubs, for the Crokes and the Finas and Lukens of this world, it's up to them to get to the next level if they want to kind of take their mantle off them.
Free out to Ballyboden.
Jake unlucky there, I think, just in the middle, and got on a good ball, and probably a harsh free to concede.
Well, just like the first game, the first half here has flown by. At the break, we'll have highlights and analysis. Lambert spots some movement. O'Callaghan left it behind. McMorrow. 2 mistakes from Cuala. They've been punished twice.
Yep. Keane will be disappointed with that. Came out at the ball there at full pace, and at this level, a man of his ability as well should be taking that ball easy. So just 2 mistakes have led to kind of 4-point turnaround for Ballyboden.
Well, now is the day to make them, I suppose. Although they will want to win the group and they will want to get through to the semi-final. Malone flicked away from him brilliantly by Mellett, tidied up nicely by Hugh O'Sullivan. Shane Durkin. Dooley. Niall Ryan. McMorrow. Hits it wide. It was good pressure from Colm Cronin, but McMorrow will still be disappointed.
Yeah, and if I went over, I'd say he could have went out to his car, and Michael O'Donoghue might have been sitting in the front seat of the car because he's been doing so well there. And I think going forward, I think he's somebody that is going to have to be looked at again from a Dublin perspective, because for me, over the course of the days that I've been in here, he's the real dangerous forward that stood out over the course of a few days. Mellett's having a fine game here at midfield as well. He's getting on a lot of ball, but that one should have came to hand. And
Keeney, as you would expect, playing very, very well. Mellett chasing after this one, getting there before him, Cian O'Callaghan. Andy Power tries to lift it up. Keeney still battling for it. Mellett kicking it on and driving it on and squirting it out to Hammersley. Hammersley stays strong, loses it. Andy Power.
Yeah, Timmy's trying really hard there. It's just not coming off from yet at the minute, but he is trying very, very hard. It seemed it was in the back there, but it's just he just doesn't have the chance to for steps.
And it's a free in for Ballyboden, as you say, for steps.
Yeah, 10 yards now as well with the usual kind of referee fast. That's the fast they run, I think, on pitches at times when they give that extra 10 yards. But to me, again, it was steps, but Cuala just not happy with some of the decisions, and looks like Boden will go in now 4 points up at half time.
Last year's beaten county finalist Nafina leading Plunkett's 2-9 to 1-8.
I see Shannon and Keeney getting talking there as well. And I go back to 2020, losing the county final, by a couple of points. Connell got sent off that day. It was a massive turning point in the county final. Could have been Shannon actually come on that day as a sub, and Keeney ended up leaving the pitch. So again, look, there's a lot of history between the two teams. It's been a strange game, like some really good moments in it and some really hard hits in it, but then maybe, like you said earlier, Russian, maybe the real kind of psychology behind this is that both teams know they're going to be through either way no matter what happens. I just think there's a bit more for Boden on show here today. I think they have to beat Cuala in championship.
Paul Ryan strengthens their position, 1-12 to 11 points. And that's half time. What have you made of it, Joe?
Yeah, like I said just before the end, I think it's important for Boden that they win this. I think going forward, it's something whereas Cuala can regroup. I just think Boden haven't beaten them in the last couple of years, but a good enough standard of game, a fine game by McMorrow. Keeney's goal obviously is the difference more or less at half time. But it is something for me, I think, going forward, that when you look at the likes of what Timmy is bringing, there's no real end product to it yet. Sean will be disappointed with the goal. Look, it was a poor puck out. He'll know that himself. Cian O'Callaghan gave away a poor turnover as well. But some impressive plays, Oisín. But overall, I think you're right. The first comment you made to me coming in here today, the fair, there just doesn't seem to be that. I expected a real... But maybe we'll get 30 minutes in the second half, but there's no real intensity to it, you'd expect from a Dublin club hurling perspective, and if you're Michael Donoghue sitting up there now, there's no real feel of championship to it yet.
Half time also in O'Toole Park, it's 2-9 to 1-9 in favour of Nafina. So as we are, Nafina, Cuala and Ballyboden get out of the group. Ballyboden get out of the group as winners and they go through to the semi-finals. Let's have a look at some of the highlights of the first half. Joe?
Yeah, I thought Boden started, the initial stages started really, really well. McMorrow, I can't keep saying it but just for me, his wrists and his feet. Tracy's been unerring with the frees, in fairness, and from play too. He's probably been their main scorer. I know you're great for keeping stats and scoring, but apart from him and Cronin, I don't really think they've got anything else. Murphy's got one. I think you're going to need to see if Cuala really want to win this, you're going to need to see it. Cronin breaks through here, probably took a couple of, maybe a step or two too much, and had an opportunity to get inside for the goal, but just popped it over the bar. Paul Ryan, again, similar to David Tracy, has been very, very good on frees. He also hit a magnificent sideline. But Tracy's kept them ticking over. Like, if I'm that Cuala management going in now, I'm going to say, right, okay, apart from Cronin and Tracy, who else is playing? Like, who else is really going at it? Like, we haven't got enough out of Mark, we definitely haven't got enough out of Liam Murphy yet, and I don't think I don't know if we've called Sean Tracy on a ball yet. So, look, again, these are all standards and these are all things to work on, because I'm sure going forward, like I said, both of these teams are going to have a massive say in the Dublin Club Championship. Here's Tracy again on ball, his wrists, his movement, and people say, look, he's too old, and I don't think so. He still seems to have that ability to get on ball when needs be, and I suppose maybe at inter-county level, maybe he's called time himself on it. I didn't see anything on that last year, but he didn't feature at all for Dublin last year, and he's been erring on the frees, where I know Burkey did quite well for Dublin on that last year too. Again, here you see Luke breaking through. He's got massive pace. He breaks the ball off. I feel for Timmy at the moment because he's working really hard. This is the point he scored, but just doesn't seem to be coming off for him yet. I wonder, is it worthwhile looking at him at 14 and letting lads work off him, because he's great hands. Again, Ado had a massive run through the centre here, great pace. Huge year for Dublin too. Tortured a couple of teams in Parnell Park here as well. A couple of the bigger teams, but very unlucky not to finish it off.
It was a real battle zone at times out there. Sean Moran giving it away, Conor Dooley intercepting it and putting it over.
Yeah, and look, you sit down on Monday night or Tuesday night to do your analysis and as a team, and that's something that Sean will know himself, that's not good enough. Like, you win a ball in that battle zone, as you call it, and you just hit it. It doesn't work. Like, those days are gone. Like, you have to find a man, and somebody needs to be outside him, or he needs to hit that ball at a more. There's no point in hitting a straight ball out to Conor Dooley into his hand and he pops it over the bar. So these are all things that both teams can work on. I'm sure David Curtin will look at the fact that at times Ballyboden's ball was way too straight, way too linear, and in order for McMurray to get on more ball, it needed to be at an angle, and give Mark Schutte a chance to win ball, hitting ball up high up into the sky. If Hedgehoe is that type of player, Mark's not. Mark needs to get the ball in front of him, at head height, and give him a chance to beat the man as well. Sean Tracy actually did very well for that one there. So look, it's like I said, there's huge tradition between the both teams, and it's club championship. Both teams know they're true anyway. I see the Boden team.
Yep.
Boden
Here's the goal.
really
Conal Keeney pickpocketing Sean Moran, and not afraid to take the hit from Sean Brennan.
Lambert's been outstanding. There was a great score. He's come in around the back a couple of times. Definitely better position for him than midfield.
It's a good complaint. A lot of scores to look back on. McMorrow taking advantage of a slip up there from Cian O'Callaghan.
I'd say Cuala will be disappointed. They're 4 points down, but I suppose 4 points down to two mistakes that shouldn't happen. Sean Brennan, inter-county goalkeeper, Cian O'Callaghan coming out to win the ball, shouldn't be sloppy like that.
So at half-time, Ballyboden St Endas lead Cuala by 1-12 to 11 points. 2-9 to 1-9 in favour of Nafina against Plunkett's in the other game. How does the group look? Well, I'll give you a rough guide. Ballyboden, as it stands, would win the group. They'd be on 8 points. Cuala would stay in second on 6 points, and Nafina would guarantee third place with 4 points. Plunkett's and Jude's would go to the relegation playoffs. As it stands, Ballyboden would be through direct to the semi-finals. We'll have the second half live very shortly here. Don't forget to subscribe to Dublin GA Dubs TV on YouTube, and anything we're doing will pop up automatically. Half time, Ballyboden 112, Cuala 11 points. Welcome back for the second half of this Dublin Senior Hurling Championship encounter between Ballyboden and Cuala. Now, they're both through to the knockout stages. It's just a matter of who gets the better spot, if that makes sense. The winner of this game goes straight to the semi-finals. The loser will play in the quarter-finals. Those quarter-finals, by the way, to be played in 2 weeks' time. Quarter-finals in the go-ahead Dublin Senior Football Championship next Saturday and Sunday. The Saturday games, which are on here, will be live on RTE. The games on Sunday will be live on Dubs TV. Keep an eye out on all the social media channels for all the information you need. Cuala trying to go forward through Shannon, spills it into the path of Jake Malone. Malone is fouled by Dooley.
Yeah, and Jake jumps off the ground there as well, and just a bit of a war cry back up and say, listen, we lay down now for the last 10 minutes, let's try and drive it on here in the second half. But just nothing much in it from Conor Dooley, I don't think, really, but probably a foul there as well on young Conroy breaking through. But look, we expect a big second half here now for both these teams. Really go at it for half an hour, because whoever loses is 2 weeks' time, you're going to be out against Lucan, if I'm right, and then the other team will go through to a semi-final, which will be an open draw then 4 weeks.
And many of these players with Cuala will be involved next weekend in the football quarter-finals, and a few from Ballyboden as well. On Saturday, Cuala up against Kilmacud Crokes. That's in football next Saturday at 7 o'clock here in Parnell Park at 5:15. Nafina taking on Whitehall Columkill. All clubs that are involved in senior hurling as well. On Sunday, Ballyboden taking on Ballantyre St John's. We'll come back to that as Aidan Mellett goes towards goal, spills it out to McMorrow. McMorrow, good goal.
Yeah. And again, a great run by Aidan Mellett. Great run by Aidan Mellett, and popped the ball off to McMorrow, and that puts Boden now 6 points up.
Well, Aidan Mellett rudely interrupting with the surge towards goal. Got it out to McMorrow. McMorrow tucked it away nicely. A nice goal from the Ballyboden hurlers. Can their footballers replicate that next Sunday against Ballantyre St John's in the quarter-final of the senior football? That's on at 2:15 here, as in both Parnell Park and on Dubs TV. And at 4 o'clock that afternoon, it's Castleknock against Thomas Davis. Here's Simon Lambert. Good interception, bringing it away, Cian O'Callaghan.
That's something to really work on. That's a poor ball on top of Simo at 6 again. Hitting the ball straight back down where it came from, and a ball, then you judge that again. It's good defending. McMorrow
left it behind. Good work from Sean Moran. McMorrow didn't give up, but then McMorrow fell over. You can see his frustration. Here's Killian Shannon. Cian O'Callaghan. Free out.
Yeah, free out for the kind of the incident happened a couple of seconds before that. But again, I just think Cuala look very lethargic up front. Apart from Cronin and Tracy, there's nothing really happening. So a change needs to, from my point of view, needs to happen there. You can see Sean Tracy trying to create some space.
Simon Lambert. McGarry has to be careful. Good pass to Shane Durkin. Durkin trying to get away from Tracy, and does. Dooley left it behind. Didn't give up on it though. Here's McMorrow. It's a bit of a blind pass, and Sean Moran was waiting. Brennan. We know he's got a monster puck of the ball. Falls the way of Luke Mulligan-Lynch.
I just think it's going to be frustrating for Mark and that inside, and young Murphy. Murphy's a fine player. Does he want ball on top of his head every single time? That game plan for me is just not working. That ball in top of Mark's shoot, he won't thank you for ball like that all the time. And you've got Lambert and Stephen O'Connor and Luke in there that are well capable of dealing with aerial balls. So they're going to have to change it up. They're going to have to look at changing it up anyway in order to, if they want to drive on in this game.
McMorrow had a bit of a knock, but he's okay. We'll continue with the free to Ballyboden St Endas.
Niall missed a good bit of this year. He had a really, really serious shoulder injury earlier on in the year, which meant he missed the most of the league, but he's come back, re-energised a life there. So
6 between them. Falls for Shannon. Moran. Cool, have a man down, so play will stop. That man is Andy Power.
Yeah, Connell was just underneath that ball there as well. He just, in fairness, that's the kind of character he is as well. He's over to him straight away, and not for fear of anything else except just seeing is he alright. Sean Moore into the fine game. Darragh O'Connell's been quiet. You know, he's obviously given the man marking duty. We've been here where Luke has lit it up. Luke McDwyer's lit it up a couple of occasions in here, and you know, maybe that's Darragh's job this year, or Darragh's job today is just to keep him quiet. But haven't really seen much of that marauding runs, those kind of really athletic runs he can make up along the side. What a touch.
That's well taken on the stick by Liam Murphy.
Steps.
Murphy gets a shot away. Well, it's actually turning out to be more of a pass towards Mark Schutte, who keeps it in play, but he's robbed by Luke Mulligan-Lynch. And then he leaves it behind. Mark Schutte, he's so strong. Mulligan-Lynch, much to his credit, doesn't give up on it. Schutte got some support. Out it goes to Shannon. Shannon plants the feet and sails it over.
Yeah, good score. Mulligan-Lynch did really well for Ballyboden there. Like, did really well on Mark Schutte. Like, I'd rate Mark really highly when he's on form, and he's been sticking to his side and not giving up. But a good ball out to Shannon and a good score.
Dooley is tripped up. It was accidental. O'Flynn took him down. Taken by Durkin. Durkin sticks it over.
Good score, and it was important to win that. I think Dooley's hurt there, but it was important to win that kind of scuffle over on the sideline beside the management team as well. It always gives a bit of a lift and a fine score by a fine player.
Well, it would be interesting to get another look at that Durkin point, because I'm not sure even he expected it, but he reacted well when the ball came. Here it is.
Yep. Just got the ball dropped in the hand and just put it over the bar. Bit of a conversation with linesman and Sean McCarthy there as well over something. It's hard to see that for people at home as well. That sun is very low now in the sky, so the Boden defence and Cuala forwards are going to find it hard.
Timlin.
Yeah, and it's twice. He's done that 2 or 3 times today, and that's something to really work. I know Coola's line are given out, but the ref is right. You know, you're coming out with the ball, have something that you're going to do with it. You know, he's running down the blind alley there, and he just didn't have a decision made, and he's going to end up bringing the free in closer if he keeps mouthing to him.
Nafina 210, Plunkett's 110, a latest score from O'Toole Park. Just to remind you, as we are, Nafina will go through to the quarterfinals. Plunkett's will go into the relegation playoffs along with St Jude's. Ballyboden will win the group. Cuala will be in second. So Ballyboden will go to the semi-finals.
I see one of the footballers getting warmed up for Cuala over there.
Paul Ryan.
Score.
Good strike. That's a nice way to refer to Conor Callahan.
I knew you'd get the joke eventually. Like, a 7-point lead is probably a little bit flattering in ways, but I suppose if you break down like the amount of touches that the likes of Lambert and McMorrow have had in comparison to some of the bigger players for Cuala, they'll definitely, as a management team, need to look at what they're doing and where they're putting the ball.
Shannon got through the gauntlet there,
yep.
Slipped it off to Timlin. O'Flynn.
Good score.
That's a fine score. Followed the ball, followed the run, got the ball, slotted it over. Good score by Diarmuid O'Flynn. Duff is his nickname, that's what they call him. Has played for Dublin at minor and under 20 level. Has played in most positions for Cuala as well, so doesn't mind getting forward, doesn't mind having a pop.
Who went off for Cuala? Didn't see anybody leave.
I didn't see anyone leave yet. Swept up here by Darragh O'Connell. Sean Tracy. Nice turn by Liam Murphy. Has David Tracy outside. Takes it on himself. Tracy was the obvious pass there. Lambert intercepts it. Swats a hand pass outside to Conor Dooley. Dooley going long. Taken by Hammersley, who's taken down. Advantage is coming. Well, you said there in the first half he worked incredibly hard, but sometimes the breaks just didn't come his way. He will be frustrated because he was in goal, but he has won essentially a point for his team. Yeah,
and good hands there again. And Timmy's a strong physical player. Like, he actually trained with us for a couple of years when I was with Boden as well, and then just made the transfer this year. Again, I'm looking at Cuala set up inside now as well, and they've put Con in on the edge of the square, but they're really going to have to look this week, and depending on how the result obviously this goes, but if they were to lose this, they're going to really have to look at the type of game plan that they really wanted to look at and play, because they seem to be caught between two minds today.
Ryan puts it over. Ballyboden by 7, but when these two meet, you don't write either off, regardless of who's leading and what the score is.
No, and you can hear Curtin on the far sideline over there. Come on, keep going, because he knows, like, at some stage Cuala will come with that purple patch, and you know, when they're on fire, they're such a good team to go at you as well. So they need to know that you're going to need to keep all these scores going now when it's going well for you.
Keeney fouls Shannon, free for Cuala. And the burst of pace after something was said. That's frustrating from the Ballyboden point of view, though, because silly as it might seem, you're just making the free easier for David Tracy.
You are as well, and I suppose, look, at this stage, Connell, look, you know what he's going to give you all the time, so maybe that you can let him away with one of them. But again, you know, from a Cuala point of view, these are important as well, and Trey has been outstanding on the frees today. But I keep going on about you have to ask the other forwards as well. At some stage, they're going to have to come to life.
It's a 6-point game. 8 points for Tracy. 6 of them from dead balls, 5 frees and a 65. 2 from play, obviously.
It's Pierce Christie, I think, in for Bowden.
That's correct. Conor Dooley is walking off.
Gingerly. I think he was injured in that last passage of play and got one good score, but didn't really happen for him today. And again, something for to work on for the next day.
Pierce Christie, an ex-under-20 Dublin hurler. Left behind by David Tracy. Scrambling around Ballyboden and Cuala players. Shannon tries to hack at it. Here's
that's better.
Liam Murphy. Left it behind Stephen O'Connor. Luke McDwyer. Stephen O'Connor miscued the pass. Free to Cuala anyway.
Yeah, free to Cuala, and you know, again, like that dirty ball on the ground, like Durkin came out really, really well with that ball there, and that's what Cuala are normally really good at. Jake and around the middle is normally brilliant at that, but he seems, you know, again, we're not seeing a lot of him today because he's trying to cover an awful lot of ground in around the middle, and I think he needs more help in there, to be honest.
David Tracy trying to find Conor Callahan, which he has. Conor Callahan wrestling with Hugh O'Sullivan. Conor Callahan takes his point. Instant impact, and the type of ball that you want, like this thing of pumping the ball in on top of him, that's the kind of ball that Con wants, and he's a danger then every time he goes in, so it'll be interesting to see who Bowden put on him now for the next while. Well, at the moment it is Simon Lambert. He's now jogging away from him, so he's kind of going into the orbit of Luke Corcoran. We'll keep an eye on the ball. Tempting as it is to just keep your eyes on Con. Keeney wins it, tries to get it backwards to Paul Ryan. Good score, just about had the legs.
Great score, and a great ball won in the air by Keeney as well, and that's probably one of the first or second balls that we've seen in this game that's won clean high in the air at a half forward level, and that's important for Bowden going forward, that they have that positional sense of being able to win their aerial ball, because that's over the course. There's 2 subs coming in for Cuala now.
Emmett Murphy was named in the starting 15. Didn't manage to start. Colm Shannon is also in, going off Sean Tracy and Liam Murphy.
Yeah, 2 quiet games, like 2 fine hurlers. You know, Sean and Liam had a great game the last day, and I'd rate Sean quite highly, but just two quiet games, and I think that's a good call from Cuala management.
That's an excellent puck out. Is it going to be met by an excellent finish from Michael Conroy? No. Sean Brennan's so good at those puck outs where he puts it into a path of an on-running forward in space, but unfortunately Conroy couldn't take it, granted it from a tight angle. Yeah,
Sean's ability to be able to hit that runner in space is really, really good, and you know, found a really good run, but just the efficiency shooting wasn't good at the end. Here's Darragh now.
Lovely little lean in there from Darragh O'Connell, who then clashes again with Luke McDwyer. Sean Moran looking for Conor Callahan. Con, the football all-star, and once again an all-star nominee. Dropped by cornerback Hugh O'Sullivan. Gets it up again. Aidan Mellett.
Again, Lambert came out with that ball there again, you know, broke the ball down after it fell off Con, and came out with a good ball, quality ball out.
I'm not sure he meant it, but it was a good turn by Niall Ryan. Ran into trouble in the end. Conall Keeney tries to get it back. Niall McMorrow will have to shorten the grip here.
I'd wonder, is the ref like not seeing it?
It's a free out.
I'd wonder, is he not seeing the arm on both occasions there because of the sun? Because for me, on both occasions, it was probably a free in. But, again, the ball that's going into Con now, it's so important that the lads keep this ball down low, because for people not watching, that sun is so low there now that it's very, very hard for defenders. You can see Lambert and that with the hurl up to try and Finn to try and stop the sun in their vision. Mark Shute had the same, like, to stop the high ball coming into them now won't work.
It's good to have Con out there from the Cuala point of view. He can get out in front and turn teams. Nafina 2-13, Plunkett's 1-11 is the latest score in O'Toole Park. Nafina, as we are going through to the quarterfinals, Timmy Hammersley has gone off. Didn't quite catch who came on. We'll update that in a second. Cuala going long and direct. It breaks kindly for Emmett Murphy. Murphy takes his point.
Yeah, good score.
I'm not sure if you caught who came on there for Timmy Hammersley. No. I think it's James Madden. James Madden is on anyway. Yeah, he wasn't before.
And that's huge for Boden and for Dublin as well, because James has been so unlucky over the last 5 or 6 weeks with injury. So getting 20 minutes into him now before the real business end of the year is going to be massively important.
Pierce Christie. Niall Ryan goes outside. Winding up Shane Durkin. Into the corner it goes. McMorrow tries to get there. Cuala had a defender back. McMorrow commits the foul. Keeney knocks it out of the defender's hand and it's a free out.
Yeah, they're getting under his skin a small bit there now, and he's probably going to get a card this time because it's his third or fourth, but they are starting to get under his skin a small bit. But again, smart there. I think actually Durkin probably had a bit more time than he thought. You thought he was going to wind as well. I thought he would have put the ball over the bar after a good point earlier on, and he probably had a chance to do it there. But again, great to see Madden back on the pitch, like I said to you, after a really serious kind of hamstring injury that he had a number of weeks ago. And a great guy for club and county.
James Madden, who says that Conal Keeney was his childhood hero. Getting in on goal here is Mark Shute. Directed away by Luke Mulligan Lynch. Good defending. It is a free in, or is it a 65 either
free
way?
In, free
in for a push.
And again, if Mark had got that ball into his hand first time, it was a real goal chance. You can see Finn really trying to drive the defence on there with no silly frees being given away. But again, that ball should come up first time to Mark. And maybe, look, again, like we said about Timmy earlier on, I think he's trying so hard inside, it just hasn't come off for him yet. You're down to a 4-point game here now. With, I'd say, from both management's perspectives, Cuala have made a good few changes. Both have made 2. Cuala have probably made 4 at this stage. But I'd say both managements will have a lot to talk about and work on over the coming weeks before a quarter-final or semi-final.
Tracy. It's a 4-point match. McGarry. Mella tries to get there. It breaks. He's wrestling away with Simon Timlin. The sliotar has disappeared.
These rucks are important, like coming out with a ball here on a game like this, because it really sets the tone for the next play.
And it's Paul Ryan who has it.
Smart.
Gets it back to Stephen O'Connor. Stephen O'Connor.
Yep.
That's a fine score.
And that's
his
smart
first of the
as
game.
well. Like, Reiner coming back out, pops the ball off after winning the ball in the ruck. Well, somebody won the ball for him in the ruck, and then he pops the ball out to Steve O'Connor, and it's a good score. Great puck out by Sean Brennan.
Sean Moran doesn't go for the point. Again, they're looking for Con on that diagonal. Intercepted really well by Lambert. Great catch. McDwyer flips it forward. Continues his run. Mellett's trying to get there. And he does. But Brendan read it well.
Yeah,
he's
brave by
on
Sean
the way
there.
out.
Good goalkeeping, in fairness. Was very brave on the way out. Like Cuala trying to play the diagonal ball that I speak so often about, but it's nearly now you're wondering, is it the right time, because that sun is so low, and you can see Con all the time trying to get that space and to get the vision with the sun dropping so low. You can see Lambert in behind this one again.
2-13 to 1-11 in favour of Nafina against Plunkett's.
He's had some game there rushing like as a 6, like, and Cuala can't seem to break it down at all when the ball has gone in.
McMorrow tapped it into space, got the ball in hand, had no room to shoot, gives it to Durkin. Mellett's going to get to the back stick. but can't keep it in play. He was under real pressure there from Simon Timlin, who did very well. Just a reminder, with Nafina leading, Nafina will go through in third place, Cuala at the moment in second, Ballyboden at the top. That's as we are. That's a very good catch by Emmett Murphy. Slots it back. Darragh O'Connell. Didn't catch it right, Darragh O'Connell. The quarter-finals in the hurling to be played in 2 weeks' time. The semi-finals, 4 weeks. Well, it's something we discussed in the first game. Are you better off going straight to the semi-finals, or would you be better off having an extra game?
Yeah, and I said it to you earlier on, I think it's important this one, that Boden win this one if they have aspirations of going to win it, because that's a great win by Jake there, but he's no hurl.
Jake Malone gets the pass away. Here's Mark Schutte.
He didn't hit it.
Didn't catch it right, but it still managed to go in.
He didn't even hit, like, it's strange because Finn expected a pile driver shot on Mark and she didn't hit it, but Jake did so well there to pop that ball off with no hurl and brings Cuala back in. But I think it's more important, like I said, that Boden win this. I think Cuala either way will have a massive say in this year's championship, but I know Cuala or Boden will want to beat him today in order to kind of get that kind of monkey off the back from the last couple of years. But again, look, Cuala massive, only 2 point game here now after not really hurling that well, so really puts them back in the frame. The ball is out.
Schutte's goal, I think, caught everyone off guard. Finn, McGarry and even us, we were expecting a pile driver. He didn't quite catch it. It was definitely not done on purpose.
One of them finesse shots out of FIFA or something like that, where you just press the button on the left.
I've no idea. I haven't played FIFA since the Mega Drive days, but and the way it bounced even through the hole on the net in the side, it was just an odd goal in every sense, but still a goal. Cuala won't care. They get the 3 points, and there's one between them.
There's Reiner here now.
Paul Ryan, who's right under our commentary position. It's a good line ball. Scored from one in the first half. Here's McDwyer. Smothered. You did say Cuala will have a purple patch.
Yep. And the sign of great teams as well, Oisin, is that they don't, just to keep going with their whatever you want, generic term process or whatever it might be now. But I just think when Cuala sometimes sense blood at all, like they're so good as a team. But here's Lambert again out, like
3 between them in O'Toole Park. Plunkett's not giving up. 2:14 plays 1:14. Nafina leads. That's a big, strong hit by David Tracy.
Yeah, and you know, the disappointing hit, it's a big hit and it's an important hit for Cuala, but the disappointing thing for me is there's nobody from Ballyboden beside him when he comes out, because he's been by far and away the best player that Boden have had on the field, and it's a big lift for Cuala now and their fans that they have over there as well. A big hit, but Lambert won't lie down, you can see that.
The Cuala and Ballyboden supporters, they both make an awful lot of noise. As you can see, it's not the biggest crowd in the world today, but they're an enthusiastic crowd.
They are, and they're a loyal crowd to the game
and
as well.
And here's Mark Schutte looking for a second goal. Schutte, that's a penalty.
It is, yeah. No, it is. You're right. There's no way about it. And what you say there about the crowd, one thing I will say is, look, I've had a lot of those Cuala lads at underage level as well, and I will say about both sets of fans over there, they're so loyal and so passionate about their clubs, and look, both of them have had great days. Cuala, you could argue, have had bigger ones because of what they've achieved in an All-Ireland capacity, but this is a big chance to put Cuala really back into it now, having not hurled well, Oisin, and you've seen Cuala on their great days where they've been flying off the top of the ground, and they haven't had a great game out of their forwards today, and yet now they could go a point up if they get this.
Well, at some stage over the last couple of years, they have broken the heart of all of their rivals. A yellow card, by the way, for Luke Mulligan-Lynch. It will be worth it if Sean Moran doesn't score this penalty, but we know Moran can do it under pressure.
Yeah, McGarry's good at penalties now, I have to say, like from my time being with him as well, he's well able to save a penalty. But Sean Moran has been thereabouts with them over the last, and big ones for Cuala as well.
Moran against McGarry. Moran wins the duel. Cuala lead by 1, and at the moment they will get the semi-final spot.
Yeah, there's not a keeper in the country, Oisin, that would stop that. Bang into the corner, like serious pace, and he's had a fine game, Sean Moran, in fairness, and that might give a bit of a life to Cuala, like we said, who had been a bit flat. But now where you need leaders now, you need the Durkins and Lamberts and Keeneys to step up here now and win their own ball and get the ball over the bar again.
I don't know if it's the most important or best game of the Dublin Championship so far, but it's certainly the loudest game. The fans really getting into this one. Conor Callaghan tried to make it his, but pushing him off the ball legally was Luke Corcoran. Stephen O'Connor gets in. Keeney is the aim, but Andy Power was there. Andy Power flipped it off to Emmett Murphy. Murphy back into a pocket of space. Here's Killian Shannon. This one's going to drop. It's Schutte again. Schutte! That's easy for McGarry. Goes outside to Shane Durkin. Durkin to Luke Mulligan-Lynch. McMorrow leaves it behind him. Stolen back by Cian O'Callaghan.
Yeah, he's been marshalled well, McMorrow, in the second half, and Cuala really have the tails up now.
Colm Cronin. Colm Cronin.
No.
Misses. Well, this is quite the end to the go-ahead Dublin Senior Hurling 1 group stages. Lambert went long. Keeney tries to get there. Brennan juggles it. No foul, says the referee. Brennan popped back up and ran out.
He did well, Sean Brennan did well there, because that's a dangerous ball coming in from Lambert and on top of him.
And now he needs to get back into goal because it's turned over. Paul Ryan looking for the equaliser, but not finding it.
Stephen O'Connor's had a fine game there as well for Ballyboden in defence, but like in saying that as well, like Cian O'Callaghan's gone over on McMorrow and has had a fine second half to quieten him down.
If it's a draw, Ballyboden win the group, by the way.
It's a chance for a score here now. Moran will put us over the bar.
No. It looks like he's going for the diagonal. They're going for goals. Con O'Callaghan. O'Callaghan. Good score, his second.
They're on top now. Like, you need a bit of leadership here now from Boden if they want to come back and win this. I felt it was important for them to win today, and I still do feel that. But like Cuala definitely have the, they're after putting a bit more energy in around the middle of the field as well. And Jake's got back into it as well, and he seems to be marshalling James Madden quite well too. Cian O'Callaghan's come back into it. The big players have started to sound well, and you need more. Like Lambert's been colossal for Boden, but there's more around him need to do the same.
Na Fianna down to 14 players against Plunkett's. Still they lead by 3 points, but they are down to 14. Releasing the shot, Colm Cronin. Missing the shot, Colm Cronin. Yeah, he's had a fine game though.
He's had a fine game, but it's two wides that Cuala could have easily put over there that would have put the stretch out to 4. Like.
Here's Lambert. Off the woodwork. Well, it bounced back into play, but they're saying it went wide. Sean Brennan assessing his options. There are now runners making bursts. It's down on top of Con O'Callaghan, who's up against Luke Corcoran. Battling for it on the ground, Colm Shannon.
Again, it's important who comes out here now. Cuala win that dirty ball.
Shannon to Mark Shute, who has a runner, but he's going to go himself. Shute getting away from Mulligan-Lynch. Shute inside. Yeah, and Ballyboden getting across and getting it away. Hugh O'Sullivan, but advantage was being played and it's a free.
Yeah, Mark has the better of him now. You can see that in the last kind of 10 minutes or so. He's definitely since the first occurrence when he got in on goal. And I said it to you a few weeks ago when we were here with Cuala. I said, for me, Mark Shute, when he's at his best, is winning his own ball, but he's taking his man on, and that's definitely something that management have worked on over the last couple of weeks and getting that message to him. See Lambert is moving up top now. They're trying to get something out of the game. They've 5 minutes left maybe to make sure that they try and come out top in the group.
2:15 to 1:14 in favour of Na Fianna. Na Fianna, remember, playing with 14, on their way to the quarter-finals as we speak. As are Ballyboden, because Cuala lead here. David Tracy to put his team 3 points in front, which he does. Ballyboden making a double switch.
Yeah, Kevin Desmond coming in there. That's one of them. That's the first player in. Would have played under 20 with Dublin a couple of years ago when they got to the final, and David O'Connor coming in as well. So
the 2020 final that was played in 2021 for all the obvious reasons. Cork beat them. A very, very talented Cork team, and the manager of that team has gone on to take over the senior job in Cork. Quarter-final weekend in Cork in hurling. Glen Rovers beaten last night. Middleton, the holders, already out. They didn't make it past the group stages.
I think only one went off for Boden and 2 came in there. He's gone, I can see on the right hand side now. Need more out of James Madden here now as well. He's come in and he's been out with injury, but need to get the body moving here now, get on ball.
Keeney missed it. To be fair, there wasn't much he could do. Emmett Murphy, Cuala man down. That man is Colm Shannon. The referee is taking a card out here. Someone's in trouble.
Keeney's gone, I said.
A second yellow for Conall Keeney, and Ballyboden reduced to 14.
I don't like that clapping though. I don't like that. I said the same this year in Inter-County, like, you know, when something like that happens, the first thing he does, he's over to the players straight away. I don't like that clapping in the crowd when something like that happens, from any side, from Boden or from Cuala.
Well, let's try and get a look at that if we possibly can. By the way, it's 2-15 to 1-15 in favour of Nafina against Plunkett's over in O'Toole Park.
Oh, listen, no doubt it was absolutely a free and definitely a card as well if he hit him where he did, and a good call. Yeah, all day long, but just don't. That's where you hold your grace and I suppose integrity as well, that you're kind of celebrating that as well.
It's now Nafina 2-15, Plunkett's 1-16. It's really, really tight there. Plunkett's fighting for their lives. If they lose, they're in the relegation playoffs. If they win, they're in the quarterfinals. That's how thin the line is. This is won by Colm Shannon. And the game might be won by Colm Shannon now. They're 3 points in front.
Yeah, they're well on top.
4 points, I beg your pardon.
And they've only had that purple patch. I did say that they'd get a purple patch at some stage because of the type of team that they are, but Boden will be disappointed here. They were 7 points up at one stage and they couldn't push on. You heard Kurt at that stage saying next score, and that's something that they have to work on now for a quarter final, which will likely be against Lucan.
Stephen O'Connor drops it into the square. McMorrow couldn't get there. Sean Brennan has it.
It's a great ball by Brennan.
Fantastic. Shannon. A little bit more room now for Cuala, given that Ballyboden are down to 14. Conor Callahan looking for his third, which he gets. 5 points between them,
isn't it? Like, when you think about, like, Boden were cruising there 6-7 points up, and you know Cuala go in now and they're 5 up with time more or less up.
2-15 to 1-16 in favour of Nafina.
Timothy Hammersley going off as well. I think when you look at the time scale and the time, when you look at your stats and your analysis later on, I think his work rate was missing in that last kind of 15-20 minute spell.
Conor Callahan. O'Callaghan letting one go.
Got his freedom.
Yeah.
Now, again, like we said earlier on, both of these teams similar to Vincent's and earlier on in Crokes, both of the teams knew they were in a quarter-final, but I'm sure David Curtin would have preferred to get to a semi-final and you know, and see what comes of a draw out of that. But I suppose now you know you're going to face Lucan, I think, isn't it, in a quarter-final in 2 weeks' time. It'll be a replay of the league final this year where Lucan came out on top of that one. So it'll be interesting now over the next couple of weeks to see who can kind of re-energise, because Lucan had been disappointing, I think, in the last couple of games. I know management were disappointed with some of the results, and we were here one day where, you know, they lost Dowser at the end of the game and he was back for them today and seemingly were quite impressive over in O'Toole Park. I know Bridges will be very disappointed with that because they'll put a massive amount of work into this year too. Tracy, yeah.
Makes it a 6-point match, and Cuala have gone from a position of trailing to leading comfortably and cantering home.
Yeah, it's a 12-point turnaround. Like, Boden were 6-7 up maybe at one stage, and it's a big turnaround, and credit to management for changes that they made. But I suppose we were critical of their forward line for a while earlier on, but they've definitely come back into this more in the second half. Boden just seem to have lost it. They lost the shape and desire, and you can see some of the body language now as well.
We'll stay on air until we confirm the full-time score from Nafina and Plunkett's, because then we'll be able to give you the full picture. Ball won by Shane Durkin. McMorrow, who's had a good game and, as you say, has had injuries this year, so it's good to see him flying at the top of the ground. It's left behind. Ballyboden, can they come up with a big finish? Pierce Christie. The shot coming from Mellett, the save from Brennan. 2 Ballyboden players in there. Can either of them poke it in? Great defending, comes back to Ryan. He'll have to go for it. Ryan, brave from Brennan, took the bullet in the torso.
Yeah, that makes up for earlier on, because he'll know himself earlier on what he did wasn't good enough from a puck out, but what a save there as well. And Lambert was unlucky, Mellett was unlucky, but was brave defending, and that kind of shows Cuala's second half. You know, whatever was said at half time, you know, really made a difference. And I thought, when you look at, you know, they were Boden were 6-7 points up, and look, Cuala won't go away. And I suppose for years we've been saying it, like a lot of people said, they were losing Shooty and losing Goff and like that, and I was probably disappointed with their performance in the first half from a forward unit, but geez, they really turned it on for that last 20-25 minutes. So
Cuala 223, Ballyboden 217. Cuala win the group and go straight to the semi-finals. For Ballyboden, it's the quarter-finals. As you say, Timothy Hammersley went off. They seemed to lose their shape. Then Colin Keeney got sent off, and even by then the tide had turned. So these two, we know what path they're taking to the knockout stages. We're still unsure about Na Fianna and Plunketts. They're still playing in O'Toole Park. We'll bring you a final score when we get it, but that was running concurrently to this, so that final score will come in very soon. But it was a really close game, 2 points between them when last we heard. Na Fianna leading by 2, but they had a man sent off, so they were down to 14. Joe, let's have a look at the highlights of this game as we await the final score from the other game.
Yeah, again, look, Tracy was brilliant on the frees. Even when Cuala weren't playing well in that first half, I thought Tracy, was really, really solid from play and from frees. I think himself and Cronin were the only two, apart from Young Murphy got one. McMurrough gets the goal. You say, look, they'll drive on now and really kind of put this team to the sword. But look, Cuala being the club and the group of players that they are, they weren't going to lie down. And some brave forward play by young Sean Tracy at times as well. And that was a stabilising point from the middle of the field as well. Not trying to run a goal. But then when Shute started to become dangerous, great score by Dirks there. But when Shute started to become dangerous, he got the penalty and he got another chance inside as well. Really strange finish from I won't say.
We'll get the final score in just a moment. It's filtering through as we speak. That was another score by Cuala. That was a good catch.
Yeah, that was the one that Timmy won going inside. I thought he was unlucky in the first half for the amount of ball. It hasn't clicked for him yet in championship mode for Boden, in my opinion, for the type of player that he is. He still has so much more in him. But look, I'm sure both groups will be saying over there now, like you can see from what we're watching on the pitch with all the kids, which is brilliant to see for Cuala and for Boden. But again, when this man came in, like he has everything, Oisín. He has the balance, the strength. Con is a footballer, and we joke at times, but if you could get him over to the hurling side of Dublin, what an asset he would be.
He'd be unbelievable. Shute, also a man who can do everything, had a big role to play. This is a point from Emmett Murphy that we're looking at, but we'll see Shute's moment in just a moment. Stephen O'Connor stood back into the pocket, waited for it, came his way, sent it over. Mellett just couldn't direct it on goal.
Yeah, and Sean was brave coming out there as well. And like we said, it's easy to be critical when somebody makes a mistake, but it's how you react to it afterwards as a player and as a manager. Jake was that's such a strange finish. Like Jake just runs forward. Obviously brave with no hurl. Yeah. I thought Lambert was outstanding for Ballyboden today, and that was a big moment there as well, wasn't it? We said at the time, I think there were 3 points up, maybe 2 points up at that stage, and Tracy puts a big hit on Simon. I suppose for me as a manager as well, and something that Curtin I'm sure will talk about during the week, is that he was left on his own after it then as well, and there was a big roar from the crowd in red. See Mark getting inside, it was definitely a penalty. Was inside as well, and what a penalty by Sean. And again, like we didn't see much of Sean Moore in a Dublin jersey last year too, and I suppose he had a fine game as well, and these are all positives I think going forward from a Michael Donoghue point of view. But if you could get this man out, I'd sit in the front seat of his car this evening and ask him to come in if I was him.
Na Fianna have beaten Plunketts 215 to 116, so they are into the quarterfinals, as is this man and his team, Mark Shute. Well, actually, he's through to the semi-finals because they've beaten Ballyboden here. Important
to recognise that effort from Plunketts as well. I think a young team coming through. They've put a lot of work into their underage, and obviously they've got Keane Boland and a few more underage Dublin, as young McSweeney and stuff like that. But for me, that's a fair performance against Na Fianna today, without having seen the match or I've heard who played well. Na Fianna obviously down to 14, but again, just when things started to go right here for Cuala, they were winning that dirty ball, winning that breaking ball, and getting the frees then from Sean McCarthy when they needed it as well, for Tracy to be unerring on them. But again, they were smart at the end as well. Just keep the nails in the coffin, keep the points ticking over the bar. They didn't try to overwork goals too when they got on top. And look, they've been there. They have that strength of character and that bit of history as well behind them. So look, again, I'm sure management will say they weren't good in the first half, and that's fine. It's a knockout. It's a group game, and now they go straight to a semi-final where Boden end up playing Lucan now in 2 weeks' time in a county quarter final, and that'll be tasty.
Very tasty indeed. Brennan was brave, even though at that stage it looked like the game was won. Stood up to that one, took it.
Brave, like really brave, and I won't say lucky because he'll be on to me later on, but a good save.
Fantastic save. He stood in the right place, and that's what you have to do as a keeper. So here is the final table. Cuala win it on 10 points, Ballyboden second on 8 points, Na Fianna third on 6 points. Plunketts and Judes go through to the relegation playoffs, where they'll play the bottom two from the other group, with the two losers of those playoffs going down and two staying up, and two teams, by the way, come up from Senior 2. So keep an eye out on the Dublin GA website and all the Dublin GA social media channels for more information on Senior 1 and Senior 2 and the rest from around the Go Ahead Dublin Senior Hurling Championship. Remember, we'd love for you to join the conversation on Go Ahead DSH1. Also, you can subscribe to the Dublin GA Dubs TV YouTube channel, and everything that we're doing will pop up automatically. You won't go looking for it. I won't have to go looking for it. Joe, just before I wrap it up, what are your thoughts after the group stages?
Yeah, look, today was the first day where I got to see Crokes in the skin, as they say, and I was very, very impressed by them. They have a bit of work to do on their full back line in order to remain championship contenders and to keep their championship crown. I think the two teams here in Boden and Cuala will have a massive say in the championship this year, and Nafina have players coming back. You know, the standard improved a bit today, but you'd hope, look, the next day, please God, when we're in here together in 2 weeks' time, we'll know a little bit more about, like, Lucan and Boden is a tasty quarter-final, and you've got Nafina obviously coming out as well that will have to play Vincent's, and there's somewhat a local rivalry to that as well from a geographical point of view. So yeah, look, two good quarter-finals to look forward to, but again, like from my point of view today, when Cuala were 6-7 points down and you kind of thought Boden will pull away here, like Cuala showed a real strength of character, and credit to management, I suppose, for the changes that they made and for the impact that some of those players had when they came in.
Next weekend we switch focus to football on Saturday at 5:15. Here it is Nafina against Whitehall Columkill in the quarter-final. Kilmacud Crokes taking on Cuala. Kilmacud Crokes, the defending champions. Cuala and Crokes still in the hunt for a double, as are Nafina, as are Ballyboden. Castleknock taking on Thomas Davis on Sunday at 4 o'clock. On Sunday before that at 2:15 it's Ballyboden against Ballantyre St John's. The Sunday matches are both live on Dubs TV. The Saturday games are live on RTE television. Keep an eye out for the quarter-final fixtures at Hurling. They're on in 2 weeks' time. They will be on Dubs TV unless, of course, TG Cahir or RTE come in to take them. Either way, they'll be free to air. Joe Fortune, thank you very much for joining us today. Thanks to all the team who put this broadcast together, including Derek Ryan of the Dublin County Board, who kept us informed of everything else that was going on today and all the table ramifications. And that's a tougher job than it seems, because I do nothing but pepper him with questions, and he is very, very patient. He's a very patient man.
He is. He's like Aoife.
He's a happy Ballyboden man today as well, because obviously they have got through to the quarter-finals. Even though they lost, they put in a good performance for a long while, and there's a lot to suggest that they will have a further say in this championship. But it's Cuala who march on to the semi-finals along with Kilmacud Crokes. And as I say, you can check out the detail of the draw and when the fixtures will be on the Dublin GA website and the Dublin GA social media channels. Joe, I'll wrap it up so you can get down the road to Garth Brooks. You're heading there, right?
No.
No?
No. Next week.
Oh, you're going? You are actually going?
Yeah.
Though. Okay.
Next week.
So. I thought you'd be the warm-up act.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.